military industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Fear itself. Fear itself. Fear itself. Where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
My prepper brothers and sisters, you've arrived at the bunker. Grab a cup of joe, a stout tea, or maybe your favorite adult beverage. This is the prepper's place for open discussion on whatever the hell we want. Brought to you whatever the hell way we want. This is the new format of Top's Bunker. So sit down, kick back, post up, relax, and welcome to the bunker.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Military industrial complex.
And we as a people will get to the promised land.
We will make America strong again, proud again, safe again. We will make America great again.
Preppers, survivalists, off-gridders, homesteaders, and the like. Welcome to Top's Bunker, a podcast for preppers. Our email is shtf@topsbunker.com. Our website is topsbunker.com. Don't forget to check the show notes on your podcast player for valuable links and extra info on this episode. I want to thank y'all for joining us. We've got a great show for you. Tonight, we're discussing long-term food storage, specifically freeze-dried emergency food. It's a staple food prep for a lot of preppers and most survivalists the world over. And why not? It's lightweight, it's easy to store, easy to prepare, and sometimes it actually tastes good. But is freeze-dried emergency food really worth the hype? Some say yes, some say no. Well, we hope to find out when we reconstitute that old bag of dusty salt and flakes and turn it into a mess of cheesy, gooey, caloric rocket fuel that'll get any of us through the worst zombie-filled nightmare scenario. So, let's get to it. Before we get started on tonight, Buddy, and I don't know if Jeremy, if you do worms, but Buddy, I'm going to ask you straight up. And you said you didn't like bucket systems. My bucket system, it's very wet in there. It's like extremely, like I took it out today to try and sift some of it, try and get some of the castings, and it was really wet. Like nothing would barely go through the holes. I got a lot of worms in there, don't get me wrong, but still very wet.
A few weeks back, I went ahead and I had one bucket going just to start out with. And man, they were running through food like crazy. So I went ahead and got another one going.
Bucket or bin?
Well, I call them buckets. They're square bins. They're square buckets. They're 5 liter. Instead of being round, they're square.
Talking about the 5-gallon bucket method, which I'm starting to not like.
Man, you got to stay on it. And I've learned you have to kind of keep it dry. And instead of feeding like once, and I'm lazy, I fed like once a week for a while. With a regular bucket, you're basically, your 5-gallon bucket system, you have to feed a little at a time and you want to keep them drier. Well, I went into mine the other day, the one that I originally started with, and it was just wet as shit and I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it's sopping wet because I was actually going in to harvest some castings. It was just really wet and the other two weren't. I just couldn't figure it out. What's going on with it? And I still don't know. I was feeding lettuce scraps about once every week. I was going in usually on Mondays because stuff I cooked with over the weekend. It was right after I fed a bunch of strawberries, so I don't know what happened. And you could tell the worms were trying to get away from the moisture because they were climbing up the bucket. So I went in and grabbed what I could of how many I could grab, throw them in the other buckets, and then I put more bedding in there, which is I'm using I guess the paper that comes around Amazon packaging. And so I hadn't looked at it since Monday, but I'm meaning to go in and look.
Well, I managed to agitate mine and get some of it through the 1/8-inch fabric, and I was able to get some stuff down into another bucket. And when I looked it down in there close, man, it was completely filled with cocoons. Every square inch had a cocoon.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool, but then again, it's not. So
not good.
If you're using it in your garden, it's going to benefit because they're going to hatch.
Which is good, but if you're trying to sell castings, it's not good because they go right through the screen.
I've sold castings like that at a farmer's market. That's one of the things I did sell.
Cocoons in it? Yeah,
and you could see them in there, and people are like, what are those? I was like, oh, those are actually worm cocoons. So they're like, oh, cool.
I think one of the biggest mistakes I made, and we'll get off the subject and get onto the main one, but when I first started the bucket system, I was confused. I guess I was thinking not the right way. You're supposed to put the cardboard and the coconut core and that sort of stuff, the paper, shredded paper up as a bedding. Then you put in like some grinds, you put in some powdered egg shells, maybe a little bit of oat, and you throw the worms in, let them do their thing. Then you could put some food on top, and they live down inside the bedding. They'll eat and they'll consume the bedding and all that. And then they'll come up and get the food, and then they make their castings, through that. And eventually the whole thing will be castings, and they'll be coming up for food. What I did was I put in the paper, but I also put in dirt.
Which you can do that as well.
But it's so wet now. It's like the dirt is holding the liquids and stuff.
Yeah. Most of the time when it's wet like that, you're using something you're feeding is too wet for them.
I'm probably feeding them too much. Like every couple of days I was going and throwing a piece of lettuce in there, throwing a banana peel, that kind of thing,
Probably.
And my worms are not that fat. They're kind of thin.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll watch the behavior of the worm. If they start coming up on the sides of the bucket and stuff, like they're trying to escape, that's a sign that too dry or too wet down in the living area. That's what you look for. Now, the cool thing about worm farms is I've had them like die over the winter when it's really cold and it was in my garage. And 3 or 4 months later, went out there and I thought, I got to go buy more worms and look. So I was cleaning it out and I saw casting or the little worms in there, and there's because of the cocoons. When the worms start getting stressed like they're going to die, they'll do the best they can to continue on with their species or whatever. So they're fighting for their life, and they'll leave them in there. And then, so about 2 weeks roll around, I kind of forgot about it and went out to look again and to clean it out. Damn, there was worms in there. I was like, holy shit.
Well, I harvested about 3/4 of a coffee can of castings the first time around about a month ago. And I put those castings, got them all nice and dried out, and they were real fluffy. And I got those castings, and I put a small, tiny handful in each one of my pots as I was repotting from the little cells up into bigger pots.
Yeah.
Those plants did far better than when I ran out and I wasn't using the castings. I mean, way better. They're greener, they're taller, they're stiffer, they're tougher plants.
That it's the perfect fertilizer. I mean, it's nature's fertilizer.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's real good stuff.
All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about freeze-dried food and the pros and cons, and we're going to get started on this, and it'll eventually turn into a series type of a thing, but tonight we're going to get started on it. So who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Here comes Jeremy.
Mm-hmm. Out of left field. So
coming in hot.
Yeah, coming in hot. So freeze-dried food, and if nobody knows what it is exactly, it's food that was already prepared and it had all of the moisture content removed from it. And by doing so, it basically froze it in place from what it was. And it requires, you don't technically have to, but it typically requires hot water or cold water to reconstitute it to a edible state. So that's what it is. So you can, if you had your own freeze dryer, you could, eat a meal, take the leftovers and freeze dry them. And then you have essentially what you just ate for a considerable amount of time. Most freeze dried food companies, and there's a ton out there. There is Mountain House, there's Wild Z Packs, there is Outdoor Survivor, or Outdoor Reservoir, sorry.
There's a ton of them out there.
Yeah, a ton of them. They've got some
before you get going, let me, in case the listeners are confused, and I'm assuming most aren't, there is a big difference between freeze-dried food and dehydrated food.
Mm-hmm.
Dehydration uses heat to remove liquid. Freeze drying uses equipment to freeze the food and then somehow remove the ice. I don't know the process, but it's very scientific and it's very expensive and it's very different.
What it does is the fan in the back of the mechanism, as it's pushing cold air into the food, that fan is drawing moisture away from the food. Basically pulling the latent moisture away from the food. That temperature is coming in, and it's as the moisture is removed and it's coming out of that fan, the freeze drying process sets into the food. It does take quite a while. It's not like you threw it in your freezer.
Right.
It's a very lengthy process. And that does lend to why some of them are so damn expensive. They are expensive. There's brand upon brand upon brand out there. And for lack of a better term, generally the same. In the fact that it's freeze-dried food. Now, there are some that are higher quality and some that rate better. Generally, from what I understand about it, is if you have a freeze-dried meal and you keep it in the proper storage, which would be away from light, nothing interfering with it, in the correct packaging, it can last up to 25 years. That's what pretty much all of them claim. That's the generality of freeze-dried food. What it really comes down to is what you are willing to spend. You always hear it on the radio. You got My Patriot Supply, right? They're advertised as, these X amount of weeks or X amount of whatever of food. That's kind of I don't know if I would say fallacy in advertising.
It's false advertising straight up. I used to sell freeze-dried food for emergency food, and I'm telling you that it is wrong.
Yeah.
When they say you get 120 meals, you're not getting 120 meals.
No, and a lot of that comes down to portion control. But what you really got to concentrate on is not just content, but calorie intake. The calorie intake, or your caloric intake during a stressful situation, is going to be a little different for everybody. But when you buy a lot of these, these meals, it comes with your like the usual suspects, basically, of all freeze-dried food. You may end up with, in these kits, this your freeze-dried eggs, you get a freeze-dried sausage, matter, you get a absolute ton of macaroni and cheese, more mac and cheese than any normal adult.
That's true.
adult would want to consume.
Hey, I like mac and cheese, though.
Don't get me wrong. I'm
a fan.
I get down with some mac, but
right.
I mean, what is macaroni and cheese? It's a pasta covered in salty cheese, and it is that. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The caloric intake that you're getting, I mean, if you don't have nothing, okay, yeah, I would go ahead and, get that. But you need complex carbs, and macaroni and cheese is not complex carbs. It's just a bunch of carbs and salt and cheese, and that's all you're getting.
Chili Mac's a staple in every one. If you do your research, Chili Mac is like the staple for every company.
Chili Mac's probably my favorite one out of most. That, or if I'm lucky enough to see one that's got like stroganoff, I like that flavor.
And I've done a baseline study, and I use Chili Mac on the entree meal across the board with different brands. And because Chili Mac, everybody makes Chili Mac, so
yeah,
pretty good baseline.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong with if you feel secure in, I'm going to get this kit and it says, it's providing X amount of time of food. Go ahead and do it. But before you do that, before you go out and spend the money on these freeze-dried foods and these freeze-dried meals, do you have other stuff in place before you, go ahead and commit to that kind of dollar?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Like, do you have enough water? Because you got to have a ton of water to cook this stuff with. Do you have your medical situation under control? Do you have other skills other than I got to boil this water and put it in this pouch and wait for it? And, there are other means of eating food that you should have in place. And the freeze-dried stuff, it's wonderful. In my personal opinion, though, it should not be your go-to. If you've built your whole plan around this, my thing is I would not. Me personally, I would not. I would try.
Nutritionally speaking.
Yes, it will fill your belly. It will fill your belly and then send you to the shitter. That's exactly what it's going to do.
It was all they came up with these meals, a lot of them, for the astronauts, but they became popular with the hiking community back, 20, 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago.
Well, sure. You're only hiking for 3 days. So it's not like you're living on the stuff.
Yeah. And the stuff they put in it, all of them are high in sodium.
Tons.
And so you need that when you're moving and you're active. So yeah, it makes a great bug out meal. Like Jeremy said, it's nothing you want to live on long term, but it's a good temporary meal to get you from point A to point B, or a weekend hike trip, or 72-hour bug out situation. Yeah, you can't live on it.
When you just mentioned about the hiking community, a lot of these meals actually, and you're absolutely right, they became extremely popular with hikers, but especially people who were doing basically the whole length of the Appalachian Trail, or they were spending, a week or more on trails and doing serious hiking.
Well, yeah, these people are they're doing 6,000-8,000 calories a day, maybe more.
Yeah. But again, there are other options, but if you, from the research that I've done, and one of the better sites that I found myself on, it's called Green Belly. Their highest rating, and I've found this before, is outdoor herbivore. And then the second highest rating is Next Mile Meals. And then for the paleo-oriented people, it's called Wild Zora. And then you've got your typicals, your Mountain House, Harmony House, Wise Food. They all have their pros and cons, every single one of them. And it doesn't matter, who you're buying from.
Let's talk pros and cons.
Most of your pros, they're super lightweight. So you're not having to deal with the weight of the food because there's no moisture inside of that food.
Well, it's interesting you go there, being that you've done this sort of thing and you've had to go out on mission with some foods like this. Mm-hmm. It's funny that you go to weight, whereas most people would start with 25-year shelf life.
Yeah. Now it depends on what you're needing it for. If you did have it in a go bag, or, your bug out bag, or, your emergency kit that, say you grab a bin and, throw it in your truck and you guys are, getting out of Dodge, they're great because you can put quite a few of them into that pack or that kit and you're not having to suffer the weight. But then on the flip side of that, say compared to an MRE, you have to have water to reconstitute the meal to eat it. I mean, you could let it soak in your mouth.
Yeah, but MREs are heavier, right? They have liquid in them.
Oh yeah, much heavier.
Sauces and yeah.
And they are just as awful for you. MREs, I'll just tell you, are not good for you. They're really not.
But they're so much fun to get the little thing out and put the water and it heats up and it starts to bubble and cook right in front of you. I mean, that's cool, man. I like that technology.
They're fun. And then live on them for 2 weeks. Find out what happens to your stomach. And I'm sure Buddy can attest to this.
Oh, yeah.
For a second, you'll be sitting in the field and you're like, man, I haven't taken a crap in 3 or 4 days. What's going on? And you unleash that hell gate. You will birth a demon that will not leave you alone.
Here we go. More butthole talk.
I've seen people in 3 weeks of being in the field eating MREs, and you're supposed to have one a day. I mean, the calories, but people misunderstand that and they get 3 a day. And I think that's a fallacy the Army has. I mean, that you can eat 3 a day, like you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day. And in a 3-week field problem, you'll watch people blow up. I mean, they'll gain 20, 30 pounds out there. You can tell Is
that right? Really?
Infantry soldiers compared to the Pogues. And I don't want to, I'll apologize for saying that, but the people who are active, I shouldn't say infantry soldiers, the ones who are more active, you can tell because they'll burn that off because that's what they're made for.
Yeah.
And then your Pogues will just eat 3, 4, 5 a day. I mean, and just blow up.
So there's actually more than just one type of MRE. Most of the stuff that people see in the Army Navy surplus stores, it's the brown bag and it's got the stuff. There is actually one, we typically call them Arctic MREs. And if you find them, oh man, it's a treasure. It's an absolute amazing thing.
What are they called?
Arctic MREs. So they usually issue them up to units up in Alaska and stuff like that. But they come in white packaging, and they are so much bigger and have so much more stuff than a regular MRE. It is ridiculous how much stuff is packed.
I heard that some of the other countries, like Russian MREs, are like way bigger, and Pakistan, they make like really big, giant, solid meals.
Yeah, in some countries, what your MRE is, when you open it up, it looks like a meal. Like it actually, they don't, right? Because in a lot of places in Europe, they don't allow the absolute trash that we allow into our food. And unfortunately, these companies that make the MRE, there is a lot of preservatives. There is a ton of sodium. There's a lot of not great stuff in there.
Yeah.
And it's all concentrated around the caloric intake for one person in a high stress environment, being able to just pack calories. It doesn't say good calories. It's just calories. Like
I've seen a Russian MRE that had pate in it with crackers that you can put it on, and they have like these little bread things you can, and then with some sort of cream sauce that you put on it and eat it, like little snacks and stuff, and cakes and cookies and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And again, when you start talking about caloric intake and that kind of thing, what you're looking for the typical person is you want to have lots of protein, but you want to have what's called complex carbs. Complex carbs are a slow release carbohydrate that helps fuel the body longer term. And you won't get complex carbs by like eating candy. That's just straight sugar. Straight sugar will spike your insulin really, really fast. And then it'll start to decline very quickly because it also increases the amount of cortisol your body develops all of a sudden. So you've got insulin inside of your body crashing with the cortisol levels that just got when you start to dump. And God forbid you have a adrenaline dump at the same time, like you're coming down off of an adrenaline high. It's a bad mix. And I know that from personal experience. But again, they get a lot of very famous people who will, advertise all these different kinds of things. I hear the My Patriot Supply ad on the radio here, like every single day, like on the hour. So a lot of people will go.
Oh, it's constantly hear it.
It's constant. And it's not to disparage the company. It is that what you're getting, you get what you pay for, essentially. But, when you're looking at it and you're thinking, man, that's great. I can see all these pictures and it looks like they've got fruits and veggies and all this other stuff. And they do. But the problem is how it's done. If you freeze dried a bunch of turds, what you still have is a bunch of turds. So, and then we can go into portion control. So what they don't show you is these bags of food, and each one is an individual thing, right? I'm looking at this one here. It says broccoli bake. And then they have another one over here, like grandma's sweet oatmeal. The thing is it is a big bag, and you have to control the amount of portioning that, you are going to consume. So if it's just you and you open up the thing of rice, right? And it says, I'm going to be stored for 25 years. But you open that, now you have put a timer on everything that you opened if you don't consume it all at once. So if you were a family of like 3 or 4, yeah, it would probably work out pretty well. Everybody's going to get something. But if it's just 1 or 2 people and you open that thing up and you're like, that's all I'm going to make, you have to consume that bag or it will go bad. Because you've introduced oxygen and you've introduced moisture back into the packaging. And so then you put a timer on it, how long it's going to last. So,
right. So we found in testing ours, because we sold legacy food, which is, in my opinion, I think they all taste exactly the same. But in fact, right now I'm sitting arm's length away here. I'll even hit it. That is a 72-hour bucket. And I have another one sitting right next to it. And I got a 32-inch television set sitting on top of them. that my computer's hooked up. That's my monitor stand, is two 72-hour buckets of freeze-dried food sitting right here in front of me. And what I can tell you is that if you open up one of them pouches, it'll say you don't get a serving per pouch. You get 4 or 8 or 12 servings per pouch. So if you open up rice and beans, you're eating rice and beans for the next couple of days. If you don't, it goes bad or the mice get it.
Yeah.
You have to consume it. You can seal it back up if you want to and go through all that kind of trouble. But in an emergency situation, let's say your power is out for a week, you open up a pouch, you're going to eat that until it's gone, because you're not going to open up another pouch and have 7 different pouches opened up.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Now there is another alternative, and it's not a pitch or anything like that. It's just through my research. There's the freeze dried, and then there is long-term pre-cooked food. And
so what's that?
So there's a company out there called Survival Frog, and their big thing is they have canned meats, and it's not like Spam. That's how I'll put it. It is actual, like, they have canned ground beef. They have canned, chicken, and like single servings, and then they have them in multi-pack and all these things. So when you're looking at it, it's so the specs, I'll just read that real quick. If they go with their single serving, it is a 14.5 ounce can, right? And this is the beef, for instance. It's 8 servings. It is a shelf life of up to 25 years. So, and then you're looking at it, and you can do a 14.5 ounce can, you can do a 28 ounce can, or whatever. And then you go into the actual nutritional facts. The 2 ingredients, beef and salt. So go backwards in time, say 100 years. How did we save our meat back then? We salted it, we cured it, or we brined it, which is a solution made from salt. So that is how they're actually selling theirs. There's probably a pretty good amount of fat in it. And then,
so you're saying that it's not freeze dried?
No, it is cooked.
So
meat.
they're gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So,
and fun fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but Uncle Sam, which we call the United States, actually got his name from canned meat.
Really?
I don't know if you guys know that.
I did not know
the War
that.
of 1812. Yeah, I believe it was the War of 1812. There was a guy who sold meats to the U.S. Army, and his name was Samuel something, Wilson, Walton, I can't remember, Sam something. And he put all of his canned meats that he shipped to the U.S. Army in these crates, and he marked U.S. on the side of them, and because it was the Samuel something meat company. So the fighters, they got these crates, and they were like, "Oh, it's Uncle Sam's coming again." They just sort of nicknamed it Uncle Sam, and that's where the whole thing came from. So yeah, when you say Uncle Sam meaning United States, you're actually meaning canned meat.
Wow,
that's very cool.
Well, that's I mean, not unlike Spam. Spam came around World War II, and it was immensely popular in some places, more so than others. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Spam. I can eat it in small portions. It goes super duper good with eggs.
I'm a fan of Spam. I like Spam. Did you know that they eat it like by the tonnage in Hawaii? It's like their staple food there.
Yeah, it's on everything.
They have like a restaurant. I'm not going to say 5-star restaurants, but they have restaurants that's what they do.
That's their main ingredient.
I mean, they do different meals with it, and it's like a destination stop for people when they travel down there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's kind of the skinny on the whole freeze dried thing. It does have its place. It has its merits. You just have to understand the when and the why that you would want to consume that kind of product, and how much of that you want to consume. Because the way I see it, we have a lot of cans, regular cans of food, and it's stuff that we actually consume. The stuff that you get in these random, like I'm going to throw in, grandma's oatmeal kind of pack and like one thing of chicken and then a whole bunch of like random stuff. It might be stuff that you don't even want to eat. Like, I mean, how much broccoli bake are you really going to want to consume, and like powdered milk. Okay. I get it. I understand the concept behind the powdered milk and all that. And again, this is just an opinion thing, but unless you've got an emergency situation to feed an infant and they need milk, no, I'm not doing that. I don't
need powdered milk at all.
No, it just seems.
I could see you adding it into something to make like a creamier sauce. And you can put it in some ramen soup to make a little bit of creamier ramen, something like that. But other than that, you don't really. I mean, people say, "Well, I can't have my coffee or my tea without milk." Sure, you can. Just try it.
Yeah,
just try it, and you'll eventually like it. I mean, I drink now. My half of the week, I drink my coffee without any kind of creamer, and it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, we have a creamer that we like, and if I don't have that creamer, I just drink my coffee black, and that's it. So. But, and then there's the other side of some freeze-dried meals. You can buy freeze-dried soup packs, and you can find them on Amazon and other
Is
locations.
that different from like the ramen packs?
Yeah. So this is, so instance, like you're making soup and you've got your base. This is a freeze-dried bag of, your herbs, your spices, and your simple vegetables.
Oh. Yes, Rhonda has gotten a few of those. Those are actually really good, man. I like them.
Yeah. Now, on the downside of those, there's no proteins in them. Of course, you have to add a protein.
Mm-hmm.
There's not
a lot of salt.
Yeah, a lot of salt, but not a whole lot of like your carbs that you would actually need. It's just your vegetables and on all of the seasoning. Just kind of make a ready-made soup. And they're tasty. But if you want to have a complete meal with that, that's something that you would have to add to.
We use them as a base, and then you put your rice and then chicken in, and you got a really great meal, or beef and this and that, and they're really tasty.
Right.
Yeah, I just bought tortilla soup yesterday.
I love that.
Oh man, I found that at a gun show. I bought like 4 packs of it, and we were smacking on it with some chicken and some other stuff for days.
Yeah, it's popular at like Canton trade days down in East Texas, and state fairs have people have companies that sell these.
Now the one company that I said that rated the highest, which is the Outdoor Herbivore, they actually have a vegan if that's your thing. Which in a survival situation, I would suggest nobody is a vegan. But just for what they offer in this pack, that is a backpacking meal kit. They've got a quinoa oatmeal, lazy lentil salad is what they call it, basil penne, and like a cobbler for a dessert. And then they have these it's like a dessert thing that they call cinnamon monkey chumps, but looking at it, if you've ever been to a Buc-ee's, it almost looks like Buc-ee, the beaver nugget things. And the presentation of their food looks actually quite appealing, like extremely appealing.
I'm checking it out online right now, and I can see that it looks really great. It looks pretty darn expensive.
Yes.
It looks, you're not going to be buying emergency food like in buckets with this. This is like individual meals.
Yes. Yeah. But man,
it sure does look good though.
Right. And you can get this pack, and it's got it on Amazon, and that's again something about food when you're trying to just live. If you can add appeal to it, even better, because that's a psychological boost for you. Like if you guys were just absolutely stomach wrecked, but you had plenty of water. Say you get a bunch of squirrels and you're having squirrel stew, dude, you're having a great day. That's psychologically intense. Yep. But it's, again, what happened with the food the moment it was freeze dried is what you're getting. in the moment that you heat it back up. That's what you get. And then, like, for instance, there's another company, Next Mile Meals. They've got a deli roast beef, coconut chicken curry, Italian meatball, you know, all these different meals. And they look very nice and presentable.
Well, these are great for backpackers and stuff like that, but not really for emergency food storage, because you're going to spend a fortune on this stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah, but then again, you have to consider what are you willing to? Where's your push and pull? Are you willing to spend the money on even if you can? You know, if you got that kind of scratch, dude, go bonkers and buy the absolute best. But if you don't, and you're trying to figure out a way to increase your food storage for the long term, start with the crap you're going to eat first, in cans at your house and, you know, in your freezer, and then start to spend the money on your bulk stuff that when you need it, if you need it, then you have it. Like it really does depend on how much you're willing to spend. That's really what it comes down to. And what is your intent?
Buddy, did you have anything you wanted to add to tonight, or you just want to be a lump?
No. Just, you know, like always, Jeremy steals all the thunder. But no,
stop.
No, I'm going to build on what he was talking about. You know, and something you both said. You know, it's a temporary fix. This freeze dried meal thing. I think people, they buy into the fear porn. You know, hey, I got to buy all this, you know, freeze dried food because it stores for 25 years. And I got to have all this water for it. You know, and I'm going to live off of it for 25 years, which is, I think we need to open people's eyes up that it's really not a great solution. It is a solution, but it's not a great solution. And Jeremy just touched on it. The money you spend on them. I mean, my experience, I bought them for, I lucked out one day and got some Ready Wise from Walmart for $4 a meal. And so I went ahead and grabbed as many as I could, and then, you know, inspected it to make sure they weren't, you know, wrecked packages,
outdated and all that.
Yeah. And so you're going to spend anywhere from the normal price now is about $8 for the lower end stuff, up to, I've seen them up over $20 for some of the signature Gucci meals, you know. And you know, what does it cost for one person to go eat lunch today? You know, average about $8. So you're spending what you would spend on a lunch out, you know, as you work, you know, maybe Wendy's or something like that, a fast food restaurant. Which I think, you know, $8 to $10, $12. You're spending that on a freeze dried meal for long term storage. You know, you're kind of getting a lot out of it if you think about it, for the money. But you know, it's that long term solution, man. It's not a long term solution. If you're on the move, yes, a 72-hour 4 Patriot free, you know, meal. Or like those 72-hour packs that you can buy, and I've caught a couple sales on them. They like to get people in on those, and you can get. I got somebody at my door, so
who's there?
I don't know, man. The dogs are going crazy. The bell rang.
Go check it.
Time to call in mortars.
Hey, my daughter's here, but I'm gonna just step out and look real quick. Okay.
Grab your plate carrier and a couple extra mags, put on your helmet.
I got my gun in the other room, so we'll see what happens. So,
oh my Lord. Well, while he's off doing that, going back to some of the foods and all that, there are some alternatives, and these are some of the stuff that we actually keep in our house, because like I have quite a few cans of Augustin Farms stuff in our house. It's mostly fruit. Freeze-dried fruit, because we like freeze-dried fruit. The grandkids love it, and it's super.
I've had Augustin Farms; they're pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, and I've not tried some of their meats or anything like that, or their, you know, some other stuff. But, you know, if you're doing individual cans, of course you're getting hit with the costs. You know, $20-something a can. And it's the great big cans. I can't remember what they're called, but then there's some alternatives to caloric intake, which comes in the form of like different shakes. So we have a bunch of that kind of stuff, and it's not just your protein powder and that kind of thing. It's nutrient dense meal replacements. My personal favorite is Kachava. It's an all natural meal replacement.
Well, you're a high roller, man. That's expensive.
Well, it is, but the reason I like it so much is it comes in a big bag, and you can do it with, water, or you can do it with milk. But one of the reasons I did it is because of the calorie density, and I wanted the long release carbohydrates that it does offer, and it has a ton of protein per serving. So I'll do 2 scoops of that. I personally like the chocolate the best. But then you mix that with some milk and take you can do it in a blender, but I've got one of those hand, the wand emulsifiers, and it creates this really thick, just really good, shake.
Like an immersion blender?
Yeah, one of those. And man, it just tastes so friggin' good. And it's got a bunch of stuff like your probiotics and all that, but it's gluten-free. And we've talked a little bit about how Missy's, stomach has changed over the years. It doesn't mess up her stomach. It's, plant-based. So there are other alternatives. And if you don't want to spend that kind of money, there are some really good protein shakes that a lot of people who lift, that they use, and you can use them to replace meals, but I wouldn't suggest doing it in a very, very extended amount of time. I wouldn't do that. And then, you've got, we always talk about our bug out bags and our go kits and all these different things. And we talk about snack bars. There's a whole litany of the, different snack bars and things that you can throw in your bag. Some of them are crap. Some of them are really, really good. But you got to look at them, and you got to look at what you're trying to achieve with those. I do know
definitely that's the point, is what you're trying to achieve. Because I personally love the old fashioned granola bars, just the old, the oat and honey, just the green packet, crunchy. But what are you really getting out of it nutritionally?
Right.
Maybe a little energy spike for a few minutes,
Yeah. And then, you've got like certain companies like Onnit, ONNIT.
I like Onnit.
Yeah. They've got calorie dense bars that are really good. I
like their shake mixes.
Yeah. They've got some good stuff.
I like the way they taste.
And then you've got, you got a whole bunch of different kinds of stuff out there, but all of those things are not really meant to become your primary food source. And it's you gotta be careful in this kind of like imaginary thing that you think that, well, I've got all these, protein bars or whatever. I've got all these, different things. That stuff's only going to like do so much for you. It's meant to get you from A to B. It's not meant to be your 3 meal a day thing. It's really not. So that's just kind of one of the things that I thought about when I was looking at all this is, what are you really trying to achieve? And what we should all be trying to achieve is, if you want to be food independent, you need to be able to stock your pantry, but you need to be able to produce. You got to be able to produce your own food. And that comes through, gardening and farming and harvesting of animals. That should be your primary thought on long term. And then the freeze dried stuff, which is, great. That should be your shit. We're out of chickens. I've got to get something in my belly, that kind of thing.
Right.
So
I think that's what,
Oh, did you shoot anybody?
No, I didn't shoot anybody.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you about it after the show, but
Somebody's ex just showed up.
Yeah,
goodness.
Not quite that bad. But anyhow, so I think that's what the main point here we're trying to get across to people. I think we all feel the same as, this is a temporary fix. it's not a longevity plan, which, you know, if you, like I said earlier, you know, the fear porn, if you know, buy into the fear porn that some of the YouTubers out there that they, you know, sell, you know, they're, if you look in their show notes, they're also selling freeze dried food, you know, not to say, you know, it's a bad thing, but
I won't mention anybody's names, but there's a prepper that's Canadian.
Man, I don't have any clue.
Pushes product left and right, man. It's like, whoa, dude.
And he loves the model gear that he got for free.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, hey, if you want to support us or have us test out your gear or give us some gear,
please send it. Please send it.
Give you we'll go out and give you a fair shake at, you know, what it is.
I will definitely take that on contract and test it for you.
Heck yeah. But Jeremy, you said something about, you know, protein bars and stuff, you know, back in the Army days, going out into the field.
Mm-hmm.
I lived on protein bars and shakes for the most part. You know, I had my own, you know, baggies full of shakes and stuff, and the protein bars. And I used to call it Jenny Craig, you know, 3-week fuel problem. It was like Jenny Craig for me. Come out all lean and mean. But it's a good strategy to have too. And we're going to do a whole segment, I guess, talked about doing a segment on, you know, building your own MRE.
Oh, I can't wait till we talk about that. That's going to be great. Yeah. And canned foods and also those types of boxed foods and stuff. We're going to get to all that.
Yes.
One thing I will tell you from my end of my viewpoint was when I first started out in the prepping world, and I was making a lot less money back in those days. But still, I love the gear. I loved all the stuff. And every time I saw one of these ads for the 25-year shelf life freeze dried food buckets, and you can buy a bucket for $115. You can buy, you know, 6 buckets for $300 and something. You can buy 2 pallets for, you know, $2,500. And I used to think, man, I would love to have that as a prepper survivalist. I would love to be able to just one time buy that couple of pallets and I'm set. I mean, zombie apocalypse, end of the world, the aliens come, whatever it is, I've got it. I'm totally set.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I have that. You know, Ron and I probably have, I was doing some calculating and I was thinking a year, but it's actually probably more like 8 months. We have 8 months worth of solid meals that are freeze dried. And I don't want to eat any of it. It's there, but I don't want to eat it.
It'll take me 8 months to walk that far. So you know, maybe 6. So keep some for me.
Well,
you know, so for us, it's the canned foods. Our pantry's got so much canned food and we rotate it out. We buy the stuff that we eat regularly. And we do have the freeze dried emergency food buckets, the 72-hour kits. We have this, we have the breakfast ones. We have this ones, we have the meat, you know, the freeze dried meat, protein. We have all that stuff. But it's just sitting back in there. And that's where I want to keep it. I just want to keep it back there. And I want to rotate my prepper pantry out as we go from week to week, month to month. And that's how we do it.
Yeah. The only one I would add, and I was just talking about bars and those kinds of things. And I don't know if I've told you guys this incident while I was on contract, but we were doing a mission and coming off of the mission, cleared through a house and everything is secure. We're, you know, just kind of mopping up, and all of a sudden my adrenaline had dumped. But I also had not eaten that morning. I'm hypoglycemic. I have to eat. So my blood sugar tanked at the exact same time that my adrenaline crashed, and I went down, and I got back up. I was pretty much almost vomiting everywhere. It was a bad scene. So basically I was completely empty on the inside, and I stuffed as many calories into my face as I could. And I learned my lesson from that. And I did learn about a company called Nutrient Survival, and they have these food bars, and they're the way that they are explained is basically they call them brain bars, and they have a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. But the great thing about them is they're thick, they're dense, and combined with, I've talked about element before, LMNT. If I'm doing a lot, and especially if it's warm, if I'm not going to be able to have breakfast in the morning, I will eat one of those bars in the morning, and then before I go on a mission or do whatever I'm about to do, I'll consume another one with an element drink mix, and I am solid for an entire day. I am that. They are that nutrient dense.
And shelf life
for the bars, I mean, you're not going to have them for like years and years and years.
Right.
But
you probably won't need them having that long anyway.
No, because I mean, and I've got them in all of my bug out bags. I've got them in my kit that I take on contract. I've got them pretty much everywhere, but they also have their own brand of survival food as well. And I have tried some of their stuff. It's actually pretty damn tasty. But again, you are paying a lot of money for freeze dried food. But they've got, kind of like they do have a mac and cheese. Everybody has mac and cheese. They do have a powdered milk. But it's actually lactose free powdered milk. So I could actually consume that if I decided to do that for whatever reason. But they actually have powdered butter, tomato powder, eggs, all kinds of different stuff. And you can buy, in much bigger bulk and, probably save you some money. But I do like their company. And I do like Survival Frog quite a bit. And they have more than just food. They have a lot of gear. But those two companies, if I was gonna spend money on bulking up in that kind of long-term survival food, those are probably the two companies that I'd go with. So, well,
we'll put a bunch of that stuff in the show notes, and people can take a look at it and see if they like it. And if they choose to pick it up, we'll get a few pennies from it, which would be nice.
Yeah, and they're the one. The Survival Frog is the one I was telling you about. That's actually canned meat.
Right, it's actual meat. It's not freeze dried meat. It's
right.
I mean, not that freeze dried meat is not actual meat, but it's freeze dried. You have to reconstitute it. And it's not really the same once you do that. No. I know because we have it and we've used it. We've tested it. We're like, what is that?
Yeah, you can get their 3 protein mixed canned meat pack, 1 case of 12 cans. It's those number 10 cans, the big ones.
Yeah.
For $259.97.
Well, damn, that's not bad at all, man.
No,
I mean that's a lot of money. But if you think about it, you spend that and you put it in your prepper pantry, and now you've got protein.
Yeah, and
it's not bad for proteins for sure.
Yeah, it's got your 25-year shelf life. Only 2 ingredients, which is their meat and sea salt. It's canned, high in protein. No water. You don't have to add water to. Or you could just eat it right out of the can if you wanted to. Cold meat, not bad when you're stoned, I guess, but but you can eat it right out of the can. That's one of the big
cold stuff all the time, man. I eat meals cold every day.
Cold fried chicken.
Oh yeah,
cold fried chicken after a night of drinking in the morning. I don't know what it is.
Here's one that everybody busts my chops about: cold ravioli. Chef Boyardee. I'm sorry, but
I can't get down on that.
It's a heartburn bomb. I get it, but man, I just do love it. I love it.
Cold pizza, I'm down.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But this particular case, you get 4 beef, 4 chicken, and 4 ground beef hamburger.
What, do you work for the company?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've had experience with their food, and it's not bad, man. It's really not. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Jeremy, Buddy the Lump.
I got more to say, but
okay, no, go ahead. I'm listening. You DoorDashed us before.
Wasn't that a song? Wasn't that a song? Lump. What was the name? That's what it was. That was a
Lump. Yeah, man, that was a
lump on a stump
in the 90s.
It was a grunge song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Piranhas, she's lump, she's in my head.
Yeah, there you go. When you don't hear Buddy for a while, you just throw a lump in there. So, when you were talking about that canned food and the number 10 cans, I cannot think of, I heard it this morning that somebody's got a sale on number 10 can of freeze-dried eggs for $65. And that's, apparently it's since the egg crisis happened, it's gone up, but somebody's advertising it.
Powdered eggs. So you reconstitute with water and basically you got scrambled eggs?
You got scrambled eggs. So number 10 can, I can't remember the name of the company, but I know a couple of months ago it was $50. I mean, I would say less than 2 months ago, because I was actually physically looking for a couple. I was going to buy a couple 10 cans of it, and it was only $50. And that was what I found the sale on, and I passed on it because I thought that was expensive. Well, with the egg crisis has happened, now it's up to $65. So
eggs are coming back down, so that should come down eventually.
And I have plenty of friends with chicken, so it's not that big a deal. But to stick that in in your storage, a couple cans of that, then it's still it might be wise to do. And I'll try to get it for the show notes. It's just a matter of I have to dig for it. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was, where do you get the freeze dried food? And Jeremy's given a lot of different brands has experience with, and Keith, you mentioned some too. I was going to mention a few that I have experience with. Mountain House is, everybody's heard of them. Peak, that's my favorite brand of all these freeze-dried foods. Peak, Ready Wise, Four Patriots, Ready Hour, Legacy, Backpacker Meals is a company that's been around for a while. Pinnacle, Cabela's has their own brand. It's kind of pricey, but they have their own, and somebody else makes it. It's that it's the one company that makes green beans that it might be Del Monte, it might be store brand. It's just it's just packaged. But
I was going to ask, is it their brand or is it something that's repackaged for them?
It's their brand. It's repackaged is basically what it is. I don't see them. Cabela's actually having a freeze dried company, but it's just like a store brand type thing. Now, Bridgeford makes an interesting line, and it's like pizza pockets or sandwich pockets. So it's a bread and it has your meat source inside, and they do an open bread pizza thing that it is going to, if you take it camping excursion or whatever, it might be something you can add to the mix in there.
And that's freeze dried?
They do have freeze dried. It's a shelf stable bread, and then they freeze dry the meat.
Oh.
And then, anyway, I'll do some more research on it. I just saw them first time last week, and I was like, wow, that looks pretty cool. It was in a freeze dry section, so.
I was going to say, you had me a pizza pocket.
I got scared. I dropped my hot pockets.
Ready Wise has, a line out there. Alpine Air is a backpacking company.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then right on Trek, Trek, Trek is a backpacker meal. But, like I said before, a lot of these companies came about because, the backpacker community. So, and where are you going to buy these meals at? Well, Cabela's, Bass Pro, they have Academy. They all have their backpackers weekend warrior section over there where you can get the meals.
Yeah, I think Backpacker has been consuming this type of food since like the 70s. I mean, they've been making freeze-dried food. They've come a long way since then, but they've been making it for a long time.
And Jeremy mentioned how some things you eat will just, lifts your spirits. It's a total, uplifting experience. Well, thanks to the astronauts, there's freeze-dried ice cream you can buy. So you might grab some of that because, I don't know, I know it's from the military. You're eating this bland-ass MREs and stuff. And
I got a Cosmopolitan ice cream sandwich at Cabela's in a little package because I was shopping there and I saw it and I was hungry, so I grabbed it and I ate it on my way home, and half of it was on my shirt.
Yeah.
When you eat it, it boom explodes into powder.
Yeah.
It's very tasty, but it's not ice cream.
You're not getting a lot of nutrition out of it, but
no, it's fun to eat.
When like Jeremy said, when your sugar's starting to crash, which I have the same problem, and that's a lot of reasons why my military days I was power bars, or we called them meal back then. The big buzzword was meal replacement. And so you get a meal replacement bar. It was better than your average power bar because there was extra protein, extra carbs, extra calories in them. And so, you could make a meal out of it if you had to. So, that's something to think about. And when you're buying all your foods, I mean, they're not all made the same. They're not all priced the same. And you have to kind of search, and look for what's the purpose of this. If I'm buying a bug out meal, what's the requirement for my bug out meal? High protein or more carbs? you have to figure out that niche for that certain event you want. If it's a bug out or if it's bugging in, you might want to hold off on the sodium.
I would suggest that everybody listening just do a test for themselves and their family. Maybe if you don't have a family, maybe have friends, and just try to go like a weekend or 3 days. Let's say Friday through Sunday or Monday through Wednesday, just eating freeze-dried emergency food, not freeze-dried foods, freeze-dried emergency foods.
Mm-hmm.
Just regular old freeze-dried foods that say, that this packet's got 8 servings, and see if you can go 3 days and test it out. And it's not really a challenge that I'm challenging anybody out there. I'm saying use it as training so that you know what you're getting into before you start buying some of this very expensive stuff.
I've actually done this a few years ago. Me and a buddy, a couple times a year, we'll go camping. And so we were like, hey, we took the freeze-dried food just because, it was easy. We did a little backpacking and stuff. And so it's become a deal now to where it's like, hey, I found Peak. I was at Cabela's and with this dude, and we were like buying some food. And it's like, hey, look, it's a backcountry bison bowl.
Damn.
It's $15 or I think it's $12 at the time.
I'd eat that.
Let me tell you about this thing. It has 42 grams protein, 106 carbs, and 930 calories. So
that's a date night, dude.
And they have it portioned out to where you have 2 servings per pouch, and they'll give you the calories and carbs and everything for each. But man, you eat one of those servings and you're not getting a lot out of it. You know what I mean? At least for my stomach, I have to always eat the whole thing. Eat freeze-dried food, like you said, for a weekend, and then just see how you feel about 2.5 days of that, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and just see how you feel, because you're going to feel different.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just sitting around a campground, maybe you're fishing or something, but try it out and see what you like. So my experience is it all tastes the same. After that first excursion we did, the chili mac was tasting like the lasagna was tasting like chicken dumplings. They were all tasting the same. And so we figured out that we needed to bring some spices with us. Well, and we found it at Walmart. They have a camping spice, and it's like a little carousel.
Oh, yeah.
We bring that with us now, and it stays in our camping box, ammo box that I put all my stuff in and keep it there. So I got it and grab it.
You're going to use the same 3 that everybody else uses, and the same stuff that nobody else touches will sit right there.
Well, I'm definitely not putting salt in them because all of them have a lot of sodium. But yeah, and I could probably just go buy me some slap your mother.
Slap your mama.
Slap your mama, yeah.
Man, that stuff is good.
I could probably just buy that and I'm good.
I can just tell you this. My go-to seasonings to take with me on contract is Tony Thatchery Creole seasoning, and then it's called Special Shit. And they have a whole series of, you can find it on Amazon. They have Special Shit, chicken shit, cow shit, and it's all different. It's all different kinds of seasonings, and that the Special Shit one is so good.
I like that little carousel thing you're talking about that you get at Walmart. We've got, every time we see them, we grab one. Our pepper pantry's got 5 or 6 of them just sitting in there still in the package. But those are pretty cool, man. They're handy.
Yeah.
You spin it around and you can open up whichever one you want. Normally, it's like the salt, pepper, and garlic, but they've got other stuff in there. Personally, I like turmeric and pepper and a lot of my stuff. So we kind of make up our own little spice deals, and we put them in our bags just to have them.
Yeah, making your own spice packets and even your own honey straws those are great ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Jeremy can back me up on this. If you have any food that tastes like shit, when you're in a survival situation, you're eating for survival. But, if you can have both, then why not? We used to get the little Tabasco bottles in our MREs, and I never really ate them. I always traded them for whatever, I love the gum, so I'd always trade it for gum.
Now, and that's another thing about MREs, that one big misnomer that people have about MREs, they're not eternal. The newer MREs only last, they have a shelf life of 3 years. The series before what they're serving right now was 5 years. That was about it.
Yeah, and there's different types too.
I got like 10 cases in my closet.
My prepper brothers and sisters, we've unpacked the freeze-dried truth. Yes, those vacuum sealed pouches can be lifesavers. Lightweight, long shelf life, and minimal prep. That's hard to beat in a crisis. But let's not fool ourselves. You won't exactly be dining at a 5-star restaurant. The taste? Passable. The texture? Sometimes questionable. And the price? Well, let's just say stocking up on freeze-dried emergency food buckets can feel more like investing a month's worth of take-home pay in edible insurance than building a prepper pantry. Still, for the prepper who plans with purpose, freeze-dried food earns its place. Just remember, it's a tool, not the whole toolbox. Rotate your supplies, taste what you've stored, and never bet your life on food you haven't tested. Because when the grid goes down and the noise of the world falls silent, it won't be the flashiest gear, the fanciest bug-out bag, or that top-shelf food bucket that keeps you going. It'll be the wisdom of preparation and the calories you had the foresight to pack away. Stay prepped, stay happy. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Rivers winding round words in my head. Shivering pines say that summer is dead. Chest feels hollow and my hands are numb. Do my best to swallow all the things I've done. Break your back, but you still don't have bread. You won't go back on the things that you said. You bleed your heart out, and it takes every drop. You've come too far now to ever stop. Wash me in the water and I'll never go back. Even when I'm walking to dead man pass. You can't trust a man 'cause he'll just let you down. Crooked and twisted, we grow from the ground. From dust we came in, dust we shall return.